Do you hate ads? I hate ads. You know what I like? Patreon.com/inkdependence. It keeps this channel ad-free. Hello folks, welcome to Ink Dependence. I'm Mike. Today we're taking a look at this ink. This is Dominant Industry Pearl Autumn Forest, and it is in just the most darling little bottle. This was a sample that was included with my last order from Yoseka Stationery, so thank you Yoseka for throwing in a few samples. This is a very cool way to do samples. It's a little tiny jar, and as you can see, it's got like a drop of ink left in it. And as you can see on the cap, this is kind of a green, but we'll get to that in just a sec. It usually comes in bottles like unto this one. This is the bottle for Tanzanite. The pearl inks are the ones that have this shimmer on the bottom. I mean, shake it up, it won't be on the bottom anymore, but you know what I'm saying. And I think this is a really cool bottle. I really like this bottle. It's good stuff. All right, so let's see what the ink looks like, because that's the real star of this show. This is Pearl Autumn Forest. As you can see, it is a wild one. You've got all this, like, you got all these colors going on. You have sort of a, I don't know, a rose gold kind of pink shimmer. You have a bit of sheen around the edges where it was very, where the ink was heavy and pooled. And you also have this extreme shading out here in the margins. So lots of interesting stuff going on here, and definitely worth looking at all of these samples. Now, here's the thing about this ink, is that it is incredibly sensitive to the nib you use and also to the paper you're putting it on. And so while I've got this on Rhodia, which is a coated paper sized, as they say, and I've also got it on my 20-pound craft paper here. I've got it on several papers, and we'll kind of be seeing a lot of different things. So I have it in two pens. The first is this, which is a Jonathan Brooks pen from Carolina Pen Company. I just love this. It reminds me of moth wings, and my lovely wife put a SIG grind on it for me. That is non-standard, but nonetheless, a very nice nib. So that is a broad SIG there. And then this is a pen that I actually inked up for her because she said that ink looks amazing. And so I put it in this Platinum 3776. Oh, I want to say this is the Lilas. Oh, I'm not 100% sure. This has the Nice body style on it. And then you can see this is a broad nib. Right there it says. So this platinum broad nib, I use platinum broad nibs quite a lot, and I thought that this would be a great platform for this ink, and it turns out it kind of isn't. On some papers, and on other papers it's great. So more on that in a sec. But always remember that the way your ink works is a combination of ink, paper, and pen, and that's always true, but super true with this one. So here we have, as you can see here, Rhodia, 80 grams per square meter paper. That's what I always use here. Flow, wet enough, but a little thin in some nibs. And by that, I mean this platinum nib. Now, we'll get to that more in just a second. Performance, lots of little dots of bleed on the 20-pound paper, which is actually totally fine. I think this is terrible paper, and the relevant line is right here. So you can see the top line, pretty nice and dark. A little bit of feathering every once in a while, like here in the eye of SIG, and probably a couple of other places. And then you have the platinum line here, which is, as you can see, rounder. This SIG nibs gives you these nice kind of crisp lines, whereas the round broad gives you big, bold lines. And then on the back, yeah, it's this one right here. You can see it, you know, lots of little spots, but this is the worst paper around, so I'm not too shocked. But the shimmer pops out very nicely. You get a little bit of shading, but that's not super unusual with this paper because it really kind of soaks in and it eats shading. So bad paper, not great for shading. All right. Now, on this paper, zoom in even more, and you can see here the difference between the Carolina Pen Co. with that broad SIG and this platinum with the regular old broad nib, and even more here in the writing sample. So here, it looks kind of olive drab. You don't see a whole lot of shimmer, although you do see some, and it actually just kind of looks a little pale, and it feels a little bit dry. That's just the way it feels with this nib, with this ink on this paper. And then you pull out the SIG, and it's much darker, very dark green. You have a bunch of shimmer in here, and a little bit of shading here and there, but nothing like the other one where it just kind of looks pale and like a little unattractive, if I'm honest, from this nib on this paper. But on this one, I really like it. So, and you can see the difference again here. This is that platinum nib with the water test, and then this is with the sig nib, and as is this. So, like, would you guess that that's the same ink? I don't know. You might not, but it 100% is. So let's look at on a couple of other papers real quick. I usually do this later, but we might as well do it now. This is the ink journal. This is a Tomoe River ink journal, and as you can see, I have finished this ink journal. I did it. So here is where is it? There it is. Autumn Forest up here on Tomoe River. It comes off as a kind of a swampy green, very different from either of the greens we just saw on the Rhodia. It's a whole different beast on here. And then when I inked up that pen for Audrey, right here, you can see it looks entirely different again. And I think this is the worst it has ever looked. Like it looks pale and just, this is not fun. This is not a good look. And I was like, oh no. And so she took it to work because she likes to sign her little franklin-christoph ink cards, like the thing you get when you buy a pen from them. It says, here's who fixed your pen up. And she likes to sign those with fun colors. And this one just doesn't work on that because it won't soak in from this nib. Not enough ink is being put down in any one place for it to really look like a good color, and it just looks very pale, and you lose a lot of the awesome character that Autumn Forest really can have. And then here in this currently inked book, this is sugarcane paper, or sorry, wheat straw paper, I believe. Where is it? Is it on? Nope, it's not on that page. It's on this page. There we go. Right here. And it looks okay on this from that SIG. Looks fine. It's nothing. It's not blowing off my doors, but I think it looks pretty okay. And you get some shading. You get the shimmer a little bit. And I don't actually have, well, let's go ahead and do it now. Why not? And it looks pretty okay on here. It's a little bit better than it has been on some other papers. But I'll tell you what, this broad nib actually looks the best, I think, on this 20-pound paper because it draws more ink out of the nib and you get more of that color on the paper. Whereas these, it just wasn't wanting to leave enough ink on the paper, I think is what was going on. So, like I said, this ink really, really depends upon the paper to show off its qualities because, I mean, sometimes it just looks lame, but a lot of times it looks amazing. So pick your nib and your paper carefully for this ink is my advice. Okay, let's get a little bit of water on here. Look at the water resistance, look at the chromatography, and then take a look at some inks that are kind of like it. Let's put some on this too. Why not? I'm a wild man, living dangerously. Recording this late at night. Who knows what I'm doing? Woo! Okay. Whoa, let's not get too crazy. Stop. You can definitely see that it's taken off a lot of that color. Let's see just how bad the damage is. Ooh, all right, good. When you blot carefully, you can keep it from destroying the rest of your work. There we go. And yeah, not water resistant. This ink is not water resistant really at all. You can see there's a little bit of pink left over, interestingly, but is that just the shimmer? No, it's just some pink component in the ink. So yeah, not much left over and super not much left over here. And I think when that dries, it might get even lighter. So yeah, keep your coffee cups and stuff away from this. You can see sometimes my coffee cup gets a little too close to the paper. So that happened. All right, let me, got real close. Real close. All right. Yeah, not water resistant. So what's the chromatography look like on this? I'm glad you asked. Here's what it looks like. Isn't that something? I'm not 100% sure what... This is strange. It's got a little bit of everything in there, which I guess I shouldn't be surprised at because this ink is very interesting looking. I mean, look at it, what you're dealing with, and this is what comes out of it. You got pink here. You've got like sort of yellow. You've got bright blue. There's kind of a weird army green tint right in there somewhere. This super bright blue is a color component that you often find in browns that otherwise don't look blue at all. And I always think that's really interesting. I really like this super bright blue. Give me a bottle of that. I want to know what that is. Give it to me. I want it. All right. And then the shimmer, of course, doesn't move anywhere because this is the ink being pushed through the fiber of the paper and the shimmer stays where it is. So you just get that rose gold shimmer sitting there. So neat, right? Okay. So color comparisons. There is Autumn Forest. This is on a Colodex card, and I think it looks great on here. It really brings out the shading. You get a ton of that shimmer. Both writing samples on the back look pretty darn good. The Platinum Broad and the Broad Sig there. Both looking good. This paper's a little bit more absorbent than some of the others we were looking at. So again, paper really, really matters with this one. So here it is next to another couple of shimmery browns. This is Girbon Krub de Chypre, which is a different kind of color altogether, but you get a lot of green tones and you get a lot of like gold shimmer. So I thought I'd show it just because it's like in the same vein, but this is really more of a green and this is definitely a brown. So not really the same thing at all. And then here again, Diamine Winter Spice, which gives a lot of interesting tones and different colors. And so it has like, I don't know, sort of spiritually, it feels the same kind of thing to me. You've got these very disparate colors in the rose gold and green, and then the blue shimmer and the brown, but not really the same at all. And that's all I have for shimmer inks. I don't have any shimmer inks that look anything like this, but I do have some other inks that might be kind of close. So here's one that's not super close, but it got some of the same mid-tones. Like in here, this is Sailor's Ricky Cha, one of my very favorite inks. This ink is gorgeous, and I love it. It is fantastic. If you have not used Sailor Ricky Cha, get you a bottle of this. It is awesome. And sometimes it even looks a little bit more like this, so you never know. This one is a real color changer. Then next up, Robert Oster Bronze, which I think has some things in common, although this kind of skews into the like weird, I don't know, green-brown. Truthfully, all of these came out of my weird green-brown section of my Colodex. Yeah, I have one that's called Weirdo Green Browns. It's the truth. And these all belong in there. So this one's got a lot more green, brown, yellow than this does, which is kind of more of a straight-up green. Then Sailor Manyo Shirakashi, which is a mushroom-y ink. And this one is interesting because the top overtone is sort of a reddish brown, but the base ink color is actually is very, very close. If you look here and also here, like this base color, same kind of thing, but then this one goes like weirdly brown. Shirakashi is a very interesting ink. Next up, Troublemaker Kelp Tea, which I think is actually fairly close in a lot of ways, although this one doesn't have the shimmer, obviously. And it doesn't, I think, get nearly as dark as Autumn Forest can, but when it's light, it's very, very, very similar. These are very close cousins. Next up, Kala Gemstone Pyrite, which I actually thought was going to be a bit closer under less bright lights, but under the bright lights here, this is much, much darker. Then Van Diemen's Tassie Seasons Launceston Fog, Launceston Fog, rather, very close. Although Autumn Forest is darker, Launceston Fog, I think, is just kind of too light. It's just too light for me to really use. But in the darker swatches, they look very close. And lastly, this is a pigmented ink. This is another one of the Kala Nostalgia inks. This is Winter Dawn. And this is pigmented. I love a pigmented ink, and we're hearing a lot about new pigmented inks coming out of Japan. And this is one of the ones that's been around for a couple of years, but look how close that is. So if you'd like to have this base color in a very reliable pigmenty ink, go for Winter Dawn. It's definitely the same kind of ink, just without all that shimmer. And also I think Winter Dawn is just kind of more consistent. Like that's what it's going to look like because it's a pigmented color. But I mean, look at how close these are. Those could be dupes, except this is not pigmented, no water resistance, pigmented, lots of water resistance, and no like weird characteristics. This has got a lot of weird going on, and so if you're digging weird like I am, get yourself some Dominant Industry Autumn Forest. This goes for $20 for the 25 milliliter bottle. $20 for the shimmery ones. The regular ones, nope, not that one. Like this one, this is maple. This would be $15 or $15 to $17 for the 25 ml bottle. So a little bit less expensive. But check out Autumn Forest. This is an ink that is kind of all by itself. It does a whole lot of neat things. It is kind of temperamental, but if you find the right combo, you're really going to love the way this one looks and performs. I haven't, by the way, had any problems with these stopping up or getting clogged or anything like that from this shimmer. And there's a fair amount of shimmer in this ink. See, even in this little bitty bit that's left, plenty of shimmer on the bottom. So yeah, nice and shimmery, behaves well. Just, you need to get the right combo. All right, that's it. I'm done rambling. I'll talk to you later. Peace out.